So let me ask you something. You finally identify the seller you'd be perfect for, the right person, the right situation, someone you know you could actually help. So what's the first thing you should say? How do you approach them? Because here's where almost every agent loses them. They send the same thing everyone sends, a just sold postcard to the neighborhood, or thinking about selling, or the market's hot, are you ready to sell? And in that moment, no matter how good you truly are, you sound just like every other agent, of course. And that means you're invisible. And so the question becomes, do you want to be invisible, or do you want to be memorable? So the strategy I'm going to share with you today isn't how do I reach more people? It's how do I reach the right person in a way that makes them stop and feel like I actually understand their situation before I've mentioned anything about a listing. This is the third and final part of the framework I call MAP, the Midlife Agent Pipeline. The first part was persona, figuring out who you're built to serve. The second is problem, using data to find those people and understand very specifically what they're going through. And if you haven't seen those two, you can watch them after this one because they're all meant to work together. But even if this is the first video of mine you've landed on, stay with me because this is the part that actually puts money in the bank. It's called plan. It's how you reach them and what you say so that you're the obvious choice, not just another person with a real estate license. So if you're new here, my name is Eddie, and I've been in real estate as an agent, broker, owner, trainer, consultant over now 22 years. And this system that I developed is called MAP, and it's centered around three key pillars. The first one, as I described, is persona, and that's, of course, understanding who it is you're best equipped to serve. Problem is finding those ideal clients by using data and really understanding what they're going through. So today really leads us to the third pillar, which is plan, because once you know who they are and understand what they're going through, the plan is how we go about reaching them. What am I saying to them? How often and through what channels am I communicating? Essentially, this part of MAP demonstrates to your potential seller audience that you're the best equipped to solve their current problem or their real estate goals. Now, in a previous video, you may recall I mentioned the senior couple case study. And just as a refresher, I shared with you an actual marketing and lead generation strategy that worked for me and my team here in South Florida. And essentially, it revolved around helping senior owners who had lived in their home for many years, who lived in a larger home, usually two-story with large square footage, and were more likely interested in downsizing and moving on to a much more manageable waterfront condo. That may sound very specific, but it was incredibly powerful and profitable. And it's in that specificity, which is why the MAP system works. So let me show you exactly what I'd say to that senior couple. But actually, before I do, let me ask you if this rings a bell. Have you ever sent out a marketing piece that said something like just sold, or thinking of selling, or the market's hot, or curious about your home value, right? All those are generic examples that hurt you in two very powerful ways. You just described yourself as a generalist, which means you blend in with everyone else, and you've done nothing to build a brand that people can identify you with. Instead, I use very specific language like, is this big two-story house becoming a lot to keep up? Are you tired of going up and down the stairs? Are you dreaming of an easier lifestyle along the ocean and having all the amenities that allow you to do the things you love with the people that you care about most? That's the kind of specific and powerful message that resonates with your target audience. And you see, I'm not leading with a big, flashy headshot of my mug or my sales or the brokerage I belong to. I'm leading with their life. I'm talking about them, not about me. Because when the message names exactly what they're actually living, they stop and think, this person actually gets me. And that's the whole job of the message in the marketing outreach you do to your chosen audience. Now, once we have the message right, it's time to make sure we get it in front of them with one specific cohesive message, which becomes the thread through everything I send. The mailer that I send with a QR code to link back to a well-crafted and specific landing page, as well as a well-written email that carries similar messaging, also with a link back to a landing page. And of course, picking up the phone and reaching out and making sure I open the conversation with their specific context. All of these pieces I mentioned are supported by a landing page. And for me, that has been the actual biggest unlock in our marketing efforts to reach our target audience. I don't send them to a main website for them to get lost in and have to search through. I send them to a very specific page that we created that speaks to them with contextual imagery and messaging that resonates with what they're going through and who they are. Because what we're doing is creating a cohesive multi-channel marketing campaign. Now, at this point, you may be asking, how am I supposed to manage all these channels? Or why should I even bother with a multi-channel approach? And that's a hang up that many of our clients had when they were first coming on board. What most agents get wrong is that they think doing all this is about hitting up someone more times just to wear them down. And that's not it. The consistency is important, yes, because we do need to have them see us multiple times. But the multi-channel approach is important because some people will never open an email, but they'll read every postcard. Someone will actually read emails, but they may not pick up a phone from a number they don't recognize, right? So I'm not using every channel just to reach them more times. I'm using every channel to make sure I cover the one that they're most comfortable receiving the information in and are most likely to respond to. So I'm meeting them where they are. Now, the next natural question is, well, how often are we doing this? How often do you have to reach out? What am I saying every single time? We've all heard it many times before. It takes something like 7 to 12 times, or touches really, before someone does business with you. But remember, it's not the 7 touches that into badgering them. It's about showing up consistently enough that you become familiar. You're known as the local professional who is best equipped to serve them in their situation. Because presence over time on the channels that fit them best and saying something that actually speaks to their situation as well as provides value, that's what turns a cold name into a real conversation. So for example, we prep our clients with a 6-month campaign, balancing the right combination of all those touch points while reviewing what's working so we can adjust accordingly moving forward. So let's close the map loop. Persona told me who I was best to serve based on my experience or who I've had a track record serving. Problem is where I use the data to find those specific motivated sellers and apply human understanding to what the best outcome could be for them. And plan is how I reach them in a way no generalist agent can match. And that's the midlife agent pipeline, built on people I choose, understood, and showed up for consistently. And this pipeline is mine. Nobody can shut it off. Nobody can charge me more. Nobody can take it away. And that's the whole point of why you became an entrepreneur, to create your own destiny, to write your own checks, and to build a lifestyle in an industry that can really provide that. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments because I read them all and it helps me create more content like this to serve you better. And if this whole framework made sense to you and you want to keep building this way, consider subscribing because I'm committed to sharing what's actually worked for me and for the agents I've had the pleasure and privilege of serving across the country, which means it's likely to work for you as well. Now, if you watch this far, first of all, thank you. But if you're looking to get help to build your own pipeline where we sit down and map your persona, your problem, and your plan for your specific market, that's exactly what we do. There's a link in the description to work with me directly. And wherever you're starting on this journey, remember to grab the free Find Your Persona worksheet. It's down there in the description as well. And we'll see you on the next one.